Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. This is Jenny Pokempner from Juvenile Law Center, and Rachel Berger is with me, helping with technology and can answer some of your questions if you have any technological issues. While we wait just again a couple of minutes as people log on, if you can put in the chat box your name and where you're from, that would be great, just so we get a sense of who's here today. I'm excited that you're all here, and excited to give you a tour of the new Know Your Rights Guide. So the chat panel is just in hopefully the right side of your computer, unless you've moved it. If you're able to just chat in who you are and what county you're from, that would be great. I know there's at least one person who's there if you're able to chat in, just so we know the chat's working and we know you're there. All right, well, hopefully people will chat in soon, and I think we'll get started because we're about just a couple of minutes after 3. Again, thanks so much for joining today. We are really excited to be doing this webinar to reintroduce the Know Your Rights Guide to you all. I know for many of you who've been in Pennsylvania and done this work for a while, you've waited a long time for this guide, and we're really appreciative of your patience and the work you have done with us to do all of these revisions. And so what we wanted to do today is just to provide a very quick session today, not to go through the guide in depth, but really just to give you really a tour of the guide. It's now a web-based guide. We'll talk about how you can download it and print it out if you want to, but our goal was to make something that was more user-friendly for young people and for you all as well. So our plan today is just give you a quick background on the guide and its development. Again, many of you have been part of it, and we appreciate that. Give a little tour of the guide and then open it up to your questions. So we're going to go right directly into the guide. So hopefully I will be able to give me one moment. I'm going to go into and I don't know, Rachel, if you can help me. I am having trouble getting this slide down.
I can't see you sharing your screen right now.
There we go. Can you see the guide now?
No, not yet.
Okay, I do have it up, so I'm not sure if you can maybe give back screen sharing, or did I? Again, so sorry.
You do have control. There you go. There was just a bit of a delay.
Excellent. Sorry, guys, for that technical difficulty, but here we are. So most of the time today, I'm going to be walking you through the guide, which is on our website, and I'll take you through the steps in one moment. But wanted to start with the background. Many of you know we first developed this guide with partners, including Kids Voice Youth Advisory Board, many years ago. The first version, I think, was 2010, so it's been a while. The guide has always been targeted at young people in and leaving foster care in Pennsylvania, and our goal has really been to inform them about their rights, about programs and benefits that are really targeted at them, and to really help give them tips and tools to advocate for themselves. So we always have been aiming to create a guide that our prime audience was young people, but we've always known that it's you all who are on the phone who are often the people that are introducing them to the guide and helping them use it, showing them how it's useful. So that's why we appreciate you all as partners so much, both in developing the guide, but also often as being the key connector between the young person and this information. So again, we really value you guys as people who are disseminating and explaining the guide to young people. It is a web-based tool, as you see. It's on our website. It's also works and you can access it on a mobile phone as well. And it still looks really good on the phone as well. So hopefully, again, these are ways that you and young people can access it that are, again, a lot more flexible and user-friendly for you. You definitely still can have the capacity to print out both chapters and the whole guide itself. So each chapter will give you an option to print out, download and print out a PDF, and then you can do the same with chapters, and you can do that for the whole guide. But our hope was really that this becomes more of a web-based tool, that that's how you're using it, because one of the things that we're really excited about by having this web-based is it's going to enable us to be much more responsive both to feedback that you all give us as well as young people. It's going to allow us to make revisions a lot more quickly. We're going to be able to add content when you guys make suggestions, when we develop more tools. So we're excited that this is going to enable us to not have to wait 10 years to do a revision, that we're going to be able to respond a lot more quickly. Did want to say that it still is a work in progress. We have all the chapters posted, but what we will be working on during the summer is creating some of the appendices, which will have more tools. So you guys have seen, and we've shared with you, a bunch of tools that help you prepare for court, and some other kind of fact sheets and brochures and one-pagers. We'll be posting them and having them linked to some of the chapters. So we still have some work to do during the summer. And again, as I said, we are really open to your feedback, both about what we've posted already in terms of content, but also your ideas for what you want to add. Because I really do feel like we're in a position with this being web-based to really respond quickly to your concerns, your questions, some of the things that you want to add. So again, we're excited for that and look forward to hearing from you and getting your feedback. We really, really are serious when we say we're very open to it. In terms of the development, and I'll say this at the end of the webinar, many of you on the call participated in revising, in editing, in giving feedback, helping us get youth feedback, and we so appreciate that. We couldn't have made this without you all, and we made a lot of changes after we got feedback from you guys and from young people. So again, we want to continue to do that and really appreciate that, like the critique and the suggestions, if it can make the guide a lot better. So we thank you for that. But in terms of just navigating the guide, when you get to our website, you'd access it through jlc.org. And as soon as you do get to our main page, and I'll go back there just so you can see it from the beginning, you go to the top and go to resources. And when you go to resources, then you just go to guides. And while that is 2 steps, once you get to guides, we only have 2, and they're both really for ones that you guys would probably use. The 2 guides we have are the Know Your Rights guide, and then we have a higher education guide, which I'll mention at the end. But this allows you to get pretty quickly to the Know Your Rights guide. And when you get to the Know Your Rights guide, you would just click on it, and it's going to get you to the first chapter, which is the introduction and list of chapters. And again, we're trying to make this as user-friendly as possible, is that when you get to the introduction, you're going to have a list of chapters that you can jump to, but you're also always going to have on the right side of your screen, you're always going to have all the chapters for you listed, so that if you want to jump around or you forget, you can see them. So wherever you go in the guide, you will always have that band to kind of give you some different options. And then I'm going to go over very quickly. I won't go in detail into each chapter, but wanted to give you a sense of the chapters. And you will notice, if you remember the old Know Your Rights guide, that we have a lot more chapters than we had in the first guide. And some of the feedback we got was that a request to have information in smaller chunks. So it does look like more information, and it is. I do think we added more information in this guide, but definitely our attempt was to try to break it down into more manageable chunks. It still is a question and answer format like we had in the old guide. And again, we used your feedback and feedback from youth to try to structure structure those questions as kind of the questions that we knew you all and young people were most interested in hearing and knowing that youth would want information on. Just wanted to let you all know, it does look like we have a technical glitch with the chat box and that you're not able to chat in, but that if you want to, and we really encourage you, if you want to submit a question or even just a comment, if you could use the question panel, that's going to enable us to hear from you. And apologies that I didn't realize that we had that problem, but please do write in any of your questions and we'll definitely get to them, or comments. So this is just the summary of the chapters, and just wanted to highlight, we tried to make the chapters kind of as straightforward in terms of it. When you read the chapter title, you know what's in there. And some of the chapters are very short, but a couple are a little more lengthy, and I'll show you how we have a little more breakdown in terms of subsections and chapters, but definitely wanted to just kind of as a way to do a little bit of a tour. I think, you know, based on our experience, that Chapter 1 and 2 are going to be chapters that you're probably visiting a lot with young people. So rights related to family and permanency really help you flesh out, you know, what is permanency, what is it in terms that young people will understand, and will address some of the questions they have in terms of different permanency options. Also things related to visitation with family and then other caring adults. And then I think Chapter 2 probably is one you're going to get a lot of attention from young people on. And these are kind of rights and placement. And again, I think these are things that many of you talk to us about and young people talk to you about, things about rights and placement. What am I allowed to do? What's the agency allowed to do? Things around privacy, things around access to phones and activities. And then we do have in this chapter the section about normalcy and activities. And we created, based on kind of young people's feedback, this 5th section of the chapter, which is just FAQs on specific activities. And that really goes through in a very kind of straightforward way, questions that kind of spring from that normalcy conversation. So things about, can I date? Can I get a driver's license? And again, really attempts to catalog some of the questions that for us are kind of like our most received questions, and some of the questions we get from you. So this is a chapter I'm imagining you're going to be, you know, using a lot with young people, as well as the permanency one. So just wanted to flag that. And here you can see how for some of these longer chapters, we do have these kind of subsections to help divide up. But then, for example, when you do go to this like rights and placement, it's going to take you down and you'll see that it's still structured as a Q&A and does really, again, try to pinpoint the questions and answers we get the most from young people and that you guys have told us of our most interest to young people. The other thing just to notice, which is probably now really clear, is that we do have these kind of call out boxes, and these really do reflect a lot of the youth feedback we got of what is the most important to them. So again, we're still looking for feedback from you. If there's particular things you recommend we call out, please let us know, but you'll definitely throughout the guide be able to see these call out boxes. And then you can always go back to the top using that arrow. And I wanted to flag again, you know, just taking you through a couple of the chapters that to give you the example. Chapter 4 is about post-secondary education and training. And so what I did want to note to you all is many of you all were at our webinar probably the week before last or last week, that where we talked about our higher education guide. And the higher education guide that we have posted is really for you all, it's for professionals. And so we always had intended that you all would use that guide to kind of navigate the higher ed process and support for young people. But when you want to go through this and have materials for youth directly, that you could use this chapter to complement that. So just wanted to flag that, because it's the higher education guide really is not necessarily youth friendly. It's really targeted at helping you all in knowing all the different benefits and programs. But if you want a chapter that's really going to help explain to a young person planning for higher education and some of those benefits, that you can then go to this chapter and go through some of these questions with them. The other thing that we tried to do, and you'll see throughout the guide, is we tried to limit the number of links just for to avoid the risk of having links, become dead links and have them be ineffective. But we definitely do have a bunch that you'll see, and they often go to really important things like applications and things that you need. And then the other thing you'll see links for is we definitely did want to make sure where we were talking about something that was based on law or regulation, that we did give you the legal citation for it. That may not be something a young person needs or is looking for, but we did want to make sure if you needed to look for that information that you could easily get this. So these hyperlinks will get you down to an EndNote chapter and then give you the citation for the regulation or the law. And we'll try our best to kind of make sure everything's updated and that those links, are effective for you and don't send you to, an error page. But definitely is something that I think some of our audience really wanted, because when we tell you in one of these questions that this is a right or this is something you're entitled to, we do want to make sure that you're able to go to the place that really is the authority for that. So flipping back just to the introduction and chapters, as you see, we hope that ideally you're using this on the web and sharing it with youth and navigating, showing them how to use it on the web or on their phones. But if you do want to print things out, at the end of each chapter, you're going to get an option to download the chapter, and then at the beginning, the full guide. We have to do some fine tuning because we got some really good feedback. As soon as we released, we're completing a title page. So right now, when you open the full guide, it starts in the introduction. So we'll be posting a title page, so you have that, and that if you do like print it out for your office, it will be very clear what it is. Printing out chapters might work best for if there's a particular issue. For example, maybe you're working with a young person on extension of care and reentry, that might be something where you do want to print out this chapter for them and download it and then print it out for them. So when you scroll to the end of the chapter, you will get to that option. And we'll probably be doing a little bit of fine tuning of that to make sure that that PDF document looks as good as possible for you, because we do admit that we really were focusing on getting the web-based version up. And so we're still doing a little fine tuning with the PDF, but it definitely is up and it's accurate. But we probably will work on making it a little more visually appealing in the coming days. So again, be patient with that. But if you need it right now, all the information is accurate. So in terms of how to use the guide, I don't think you guys need much instruction from me for that. But I think, like as I said in the beginning, we really do rely on you guys to be kind of the connector between the guide and the young person. And we do think, as you guys have probably experienced in your work with young people, that probably the best way to introduce it is through, when they're asking you a question. So for example, if a young person is asking about extended foster care and reentry, sitting them down and opening up the guide together and navigating it, things like that. You can also, I think, introduce it to them by you can always use, our search engine to search some terms, and then, oops, so sorry. Okay, you can use our search function and search with them. So basically it's going to function like most of the websites you all are familiar with, but I do think that, introducing it to them when you're doing your casework visits, when you're maybe in an IL session, or maybe when they just come to you and you're talking about a topic, navigating it with them. We're really interested in learning more from you about kind of other ways. We're really happy if you're doing YAB meetings or IL sessions and you want me to present, virtually or however it works to help, do some of this like tour guiding of the guide. I'm happy to do that. And also, like I said, we're really interested in if there's particular ways you think that would be best to introduce it to young people, let us know, and we're really open to those ideas. And then, as I said at the beginning, we really do thank you all. I know that many of you on the call helped with revising the guide, and we really do appreciate it. We thanked a bunch of you in the intro, but I'm sure there were many others that we really do. We thank and really appreciate your editing, and I'll continue to say it, like, we do want you to tell us what's working, what you like about this and what you don't, because I'm really excited that it's web-based, and I feel like that the ability to make it better, to add, is so much easier. So we want you guys to tell us that, and really don't hesitate. So I think that's kind of the quick tour of the guide, but I do want to see if we do have any questions. And Rachel, I might need you to let me know if there are, because I'm not sure that I am seeing a question box on my screen.
No problem. There is one raised hand.
Okay.
I don't know if that is intentional or not, but feel free to put your question in the question box.
Okay. Yeah, we're really excited to hear from you all, whether this looks like this is going to be helpful to you, if there's any concerns you have. I definitely know we've gotten some feedback that many of you really still are in the position where having it in a hard copy is what you need. And like I said, we really do want to make that possible. So definitely would want to make it look a little better for you, but really are interested of your thoughts on this, and ideas for any improvements.
We do have one question. Okay. When will the next Know Your Rights training be for youth?
So no, thank you for asking that. So we don't deliver directly the trainings, and haven't for many years. I think, and I think that we are happy to help counties in delivering those trainings. We have a curriculum that is not really tied to the web-based version, so it doesn't take you through the web-based version. It really is just about the content that people can still use. I think that developing a new training, and maybe one in collaboration with the YAB, is something that we'd like to do. So we aren't really able to do the trainings for you, but we definitely can help you in planning one for yourself, helping you kind of build some of the materials, the exercises, some of the activities, if people would like. And I do think that was another thing for the summer that we did want to do, was talking with our great partners at the Child Welfare Resource Center, Megan and Cindy, to see if that's something maybe that we do want to develop in collaboration with YAB and CWRC, because I know that they were instrumental in getting this guide out, and we did really want to go back and talk more about what a training and curriculum would look like. But until we have that, if people do want to email me just about if they want to do some of these kind of even just introducing the guide during the summer and maybe developing a couple of activities, I'm definitely open to working with people on that. But we don't have kind of a set curriculum yet. Thank you for asking that.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of questions on promoting the guide and accessing. So someone asked if there's a one-page flyer for the guide. as well as when a caseworker is in the field, is the guide accessible on smartphones?
So definitely accessible on smartphones. So definitely take a look. We've been trying that out, and it definitely, you can read everything. It looks very good. So definitely you can access it on your smartphone. But thanks for suggesting the one pager, because I will say right now what we've had is more an announcement to you guys, our colleagues. But I think it does make sense for us to have a flyer that's that's targeted at youth, that's explaining what this is. So we can definitely do that. That's a really great idea. And as I said, like, I know this isn't the same as like a formal training on the content, but if you do, particularly while things are being done virtually, if you're having an IL group and you want, me to call in and by Zoom or whatever and describe the guide and do a little tour, and like I said, maybe one or two little activities, that's definitely doable. I know that's not the same as like a training about content, but definitely in terms of promoting the guide, I think that's definitely something we can do during the summer, and that during the summer we'll kind of work with you all to figure out what a substantive training about the material would be. So definitely reach out. I'm really interested for some of the regional YAB meetings, if that's an option and something you all would like, and other forums you can think of. Definitely let me know, because getting the word out is the big goal for the summer. So any ideas you have, we'll do our best to make ourselves available to be at those things, whether it be virtual or by phone.
Someone had also asked if they're working with a youth with a specific rights question that's not covered in the guide, or a highly specific question, is there a person at JLC they could direct the question to?
So you guys can definitely use our information referral line. We do have to send everyone through that, but it will get assigned to people like me, or these kinds of questions will end up going to me and others who work in the child welfare area. So we do our best to get those calls quickly, but that is really the best way to do it. And for many of you are on the webinar, you can email me, so that's another way too. But I think we do want, particularly as part of kind of this developing self-advocacy skills, we will do our best to make things as kind of easy to access for young people as possible, but definitely think kind of teaching that tools and that skill is a way to do things. But you all will know that you can always send me an email and say, hey, we're calling the information referral line, and if you want additional information. So I think that's totally fine, but definitely we're trying to make our information referral line accessible to young people. So my hope is that will be their experience, and you guys can give us feedback on that, but it will be assigned to the people who have that expertise. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Feel free to email me if you have additional questions. We do want to make ourselves accessible to people, so always feel free to reach out. I will definitely work on a flyer that is directed at young people that you all can use as well. And then again, really looking forward for your feedback as you go through the guide, and really are open to critiques, suggestions, anything that will help you and help the young people you're working with. And we'll definitely continue over the summer to talk more about developing trainings. And then in the meantime, just reach out and we'll figure out something. So during the summer, you can get help with whatever you need to get this information across to young people.
I'm not sure if this was on a previous slide, but someone asked for your email, Jenny.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I should have remembered to do that. So I'm just going to go to this agenda slide and just write it up for you guys.
I can put it in the chat as well.
Okay. All right, well, this is my first half-an-hour webinar, so that's great. And thank you for the questions, really good ideas for a flyer. Thanks for everyone for coming today. Thanks to everyone for helping develop the guide. And I do really look forward to hearing from you all as you use this and as we continue to make improvements. Have a very good Thursday afternoon. Thank you, Rachel. Rachel?
Yes,
Rachel,
just
you
one
still?
moment.
Okay. Okay, I was making sure I can see. So the questions were in chat, but for people, it was seen as questions.
Yes.